Hi, everybody. Warm welcome. Videos will be off for the session. Please sit comfortably. Today's practice will be spending time focusing on certain organs of our body, inviting them to come into a place of optimal functioning, and gradually shifting from a more materialistic, physical reality to a more energetic, subtle reality. And by the end of this practice, we should feel more expanded, more light. By the end of this practice, we should feel more in touch with our energetic dimension than our physical dimension. One view, I don't know if it's necessarily matches scientific understanding, but it might match. One view is that this whole universe is made out of one substance. And everything we experience is different densities of that substance. So for example, if we say the universe is made out of consciousness, and now all the elements are different densities of consciousness. So earth element is a certain density of consciousness. Water element is a certain density of consciousness. Air element, fire element, space element, different densities of consciousness. Different patterns of the same one substance has been arranged in different patterns, which is a very fascinating way of looking at life. Everything's made out of one substance. So with this viewpoint, whether or not it's true, we'll just go with this viewpoint. I'd like you to bring your attention to your heart, the physical organ of the heart. Obviously, the heart is solid. It has muscles. Earth element. And then again, heart is filled with blood. It's water element. And the heart moves, pumps. Movement is air element. And the heart has some electricity, which is why you revive someone with a heart attack with the cardiac, pulse. You give them an electric shock, and sometimes their heartbeat starts again. So electricity, and also it has its own warmth. That's fire element. And at a deepest subatomic level, every particle has mostly space. So the heart also is a space, connects and communes with space. And we are conscious of the heart right now. So that's consciousness. And let's just say these are all 6 densities of that same one substance. Consciousness in one way is a physical heart. In another way is a liquid heart. Is air, is fire, is space. And I'm going to suggest that nothing has to be done, just being aware of your heart. Maybe some of you, the heart feels heavy. Maybe it feels blocked. Maybe it feels expanded. Maybe it feels light. Whatever it feels, just letting it be the way it is, giving it attention exactly the way it is. I'm going to suggest that that very thing starts dissolving any heaviness, creating alignment, returning everything back to flow. So now I'm going to mention some other organs. I'm not going to speak so much anymore. You've got a sense of it. We're moving from earth element to water element, air, fire, and space, and consciousness. Please come to the brain. In a sense, the brain is solid. In a sense, it's liquid. In a sense, air. In a sense, fire, electricity. And in a sense, space. So like this, I'll mention different organs and you spend a minute or two just recognizing that it's made of one substance. It looks like different organs, different parts of the body. It's just one substance. The very act of just paying attention creates a certain alignment, a certain lightness, a certain flow. Even by itself, just focusing on these organs, which are constantly working on our behalf, that itself is very healthy. So go ahead and bring your attention to your liver. Just pay attention to your liver and experience the liver as solid in some way, and so on. Enter the mind of the liver. Every organ has its own frequency. You'll feel that now. Bring your attention to your lungs. Same thing. Just paying attention to the lungs. Feeling the lungs. And noticing how the lungs have earth element, they're solid in some way. They're liquid in some way. Air, fire, space, and consciousness. And each time you focus on an organ, notice the signature frequency of that organ. It'll feel a little bit different. Focusing on the heart, feel a little different than the brain, a little different than the liver, a little different than the lungs. They all feel slightly different. Let's move our attention to the stomach. Let's also include the gallbladder, stomach and gallbladder. Noticing how the stomach is solid in some way, it's liquid in some way, and so on. Made out of one substance. And just being conscious of the stomach and the gallbladder. Moving down to the small and large intestine. It's solid in some way. It's liquid in some way. It's got air. It's got fire. Space. Ultimately, it's just consciousness. It's a certain density of consciousness. Bring the attention to the kidneys. Earth. Water. Air. Fire. Space. And consciousness itself. Even your entire skin covering your entire body. Skin is the largest organ in the body. So notice how skin is also solid in some way. Liquid in some way. It allows air to come and go. Gaseous in some way. It's got its own temperature. Fire in some way. Space in some way. And consciousness. Experiencing all these organs of your body as just made of one substance, different densities of consciousness. Appear like many things, but they're actually just an extension of one thing. Entire skeletal structure, all the bones, same. So you're not just the object of your consciousness, you are consciousness. It's like a hall of mirrors. Consciousness is experiencing consciousness, but it's assuming things to be different Oh, skin is different from lungs, is different from brain, is different from skeletal system. But that's just an illusion. That's ignorance. In reality, it's just one substance reflecting itself endlessly. So take a much broader view now and begin to see all of life like this. All of life, all people, all places, all things, all sensory experiences, all knowledge, different densities of consciousness, different densities of that one substance. In some ways it's hard, in some ways it's flowing, in some ways it's moving, in some way it's burning, in some way it just is. What happens if you see the whole universe inside and outside? It's just different densities of consciousness. Does the illusion grip you as strongly? Do the ups and downs of life grip you as strongly? Maybe they still grip you, but is it as strongly as before? Check. And when the time comes to leave this body behind, this world behind, will you really cry? Will you really be afraid? If you can see it all as one substance, densities of one substance. Why do you cry? Oh, I'm leaving my loved ones behind. I'm leaving my home behind. I'm leaving my familiar life behind. I'm leaving my body behind, my mind behind. But what if you recognize it's all one substance? These people that you claim to love are just one substance, different densities of one substance. All your belongings, your things you want to do and achieve, and all your identities. It's one substance. Now what happens? Are you still afraid? You're still limited? Don't try to change anything. Just know it's all one substance. One seamless substance. Experiencing itself in a million different ways, billion different ways, endlessly. And the more you see this for what it actually is, the more you start to feel free, be free. The less you're hooked by the illusion, tormented by the illusion, fooled by the illusion. Very nice.